Hello and welcome to the Be Smart About Art show. For those viewers who are familiar with the show, you'll be aware that this is a different setup today. Well, we got started a little bit late and it's a different scene because, well, technology decided to crash. And I like to give these examples to you because you realize that whenever things go wrong, or seemingly wrong, with when you're trying to go online, when you're in this whole crazy world that's getting all into technology out of need. I know speakers who refused previously to do any kind of training online, they're now all about doing Zoom. They're all experts apparently at Zoom. Things do happen. And so here we are today. You're actually seeing my real office, as in where I sit. A cute little picture. I believe that was by my Ansley niece. My niece Ansley, pardon me. It says, "Hi, this is for you." Isn't that cute? And you get to see knowledge is power. I'm a big believer in that. So that's always up there behind me. It used to be slightly above my head in live streams. I've got to readjust it following some adjustments of the office when I made room for the studio. And we're here today in my cozy, natural, normal settings with my 4 mobile phones, my watcher, my tea, my little balls for just playing, fiddling with something when I'm in meetings. We humans, we like to fiddle with stuff. I'm here to tell you a story, and that story is a real life story for myself. And I'm wondering for you what some equivalents might be for you in your life. What we're going to do is I'm going to read out. I decided to take something from this lovely book, Art is Your Life, Make It Your Living by Susan J. Mumford. Interesting. And Chris King, the photographer. So I'm going to read this story for you. It is called Lemonade and Art Fairs, Fallen Leaves and Commissions. And that looks back to myself when I was a little kid entrepreneur, had no idea, and some takeaways that I have from the ventures that I had then. Now, for those viewers who have seen this before, what I'm going to tell you is that I've then got some really specific, exciting stuff to show you on some whiteboards that are just there. So I'm going to take you through how exactly you are coming up with your own offering during this crazy time. And I mean, to give you an example of how we're having to make adjustments, I am running a special session on professional partnerships live next week for the Art Biz Boot Campers from the 2019 session. It's the last little session that we're doing as a group officially. We're next running the Art Biz Boot Camp then in 2021. And the reason I'm running that session live is because you know what? My existing modules, my existing insight into professional partnerships, the principles still apply. But how does an artist go about approaching a gallery at the moment? It is specific to this market. What are the priorities of galleries at the moment? I'm afraid to say it's not actually finding new talent. Yes, their eyes are always open, but at this point in time, their priority is staying in business and looking after the artists who they've already committed to collaborating with, to representing. So if you're an artist who has been seeking gallery representation, how exactly do you go about starting some new relationships? It's still possible, but the way we're going about it is going to be different. And so I'm applying this story specifically for this point in time and exactly how we're going about developing income streams, kind of like I did as a kid in small town America. Let's have a story. Anyone who knows me understands how much I, Susan J. Mumford, as we saw here, founder of Be Smart About Art, love both art and business. Having both in my life provides a fantastic balance between the left and the right brain. Now, since publication of this, that has been debunked. So never mind. I still like the idea of left and right brain. We just know that it's not actually correct. Thinking that what is it, right is supposed to be kind of creative and left is more kind of analytical. Yeah, apparently there's kind of no like reality to that idea. Speak of neuroscientists, I can explain more. During the summer when I was a kid, I would set up a Kool-Aid stand, which I usually describe to Brits as a lemonade stand, down the road. Note that I personally can't stand the drink and never could. The neighborhood kids, my first team, you might call them, I would rope them in, would help me, I say in here, run the stand, and we offered a variety of flavors and paper cups to the local residents who would stop their cars because everyone, this was small town America, in the late 80s, early 90s, and really the late 80s. And they would be driving, not walking, you know. They'd stop their cars to buy from us. I didn't calculate the profit and certainly never considered depreciation on the investor's equipment. Those would be my parents' plastic jugs, let alone consider reimbursing their contributions of paper cups, napkins, etc. So what I didn't really know was what my profit was. I understood my income, as in my turnover, but not actually the turnover minus or less the cost of goods and services, resulting in some profit. I just knew that I was taking this amount of money, so I was very fortunate. One autumn day, then, after helping my dad rake leaves to earn cash towards Christmas presents, I came up with a business idea. My tree-lined neighborhood, known as Smoking Oaks, was always covered in leaves, and oh my goodness, it's crazy. I spent a lot of time there last year, and it really, I mean, it is just covered at certain points of the year. I could offer a service to rake them, having successfully talked another kid into joining me. That was Joey, was his name. We walked down the street and succeeded. A man down the road had a massive leaf-strewn back garden, i.e. backyard, and was delighted to have a solution delivered to his door in the form of Joey and myself. We agreed a fee, if memory serves me right, of $40, and over the next 2 days, I raked and bagged leaves while listening to the soundtrack to Cocktail. Do you remember that was a Tom Cruise movie? On my little battery-operated cassette player. I now liken the lemonade stand to exhibitions and art fairs, and the leaf. Okay, let me slow down and say that again. I now liken the lemonade stand, aka Kool-Aid stand, to exhibitions, so shows, art fairs where you're presenting stuff and then hopefully selling them, and art fairs, and the leaf raking enterprise to bespoke or custom commissions. So when you say a collector comes to you and they want to have a specific work of art made according to their specifications. So that is like the leaf raking. Okay. Exhibitions and art fairs are speculative and require a substantial amount of investment in both finance and time. And you don't know what the result is going to be. It's just guesswork. Maybe forecasting, you might want to say. Bespoke commissions, on the other hand, are guaranteed jobs where the risk is minimal. If I were to travel back in time, I would take a 50% deposit to commence work with the remainder due upon completion. So that it was a bit of a risk. It could be that Joey and I might have gone along, done all the leaf raking, bagged it all up, and the guy might have never paid us, but thankfully he did. Such payment terms require confidence that my 12-year-old self did not possess. The deposit provides the supplier confidence that the client is serious, and by only taking the remainder upon completion, the client likewise has the confidence that the supplier will complete the job. And that truly is an excellent analogy for doing custom commissions. By taking a deposit, you know that the collector is serious, and they know that you're serious because you're not expecting the remainder payment until you have seen that baby through to their satisfaction. Artists and art dealers should not always work speculatively. What type of art or service can you provide that is guaranteed income with little risk? Some ideas include, for example, commissions for portrait paintings or sculptures, abstract or landscape paintings, an art installation service, framing consultancy, private tutorials, and so on. Think about what you can offer that is guaranteed work for which you can charge a deposit, and make a plan of how you will charge for your services and market such products. And there is an image, if you can see that, of me with the Kool-Aid stand. So actually that doesn't have me in it, but that's got the sign, that's fine. And I say as a little addendum to this article, and then I'm going to show you some illustrations with what we need to be thinking about for yourself, for your business. Personal note, I would like to give a special thanks to my initial investors, my parents. I hope you agree that your support of my early ventures was vital in providing experience that would pay dividends later in my adventures as an entrepreneur in the art world. Oh, thanks, Mom and Dad. Right, so if you want to comment, ask any questions, please do so. What I am going to do is start illustrating to you some ideas that I have come up with over the years as a mentor and consultant in the industry, and hello to people who are saying hello to me, so that you can be thinking about this yourself. Now, I'm applying all of this thinking, although some of this is going to be parallel to what I've shown people in previous courses. We need to think about it right now. What is our current situation, and how can you apply these principles in such a strange, never before known market to anyone on the planet? Right. So the first thing I want to do, and I was very much so addressing this in that blog post, I've got here staying solvent. Okay, so now when I work on, say, the business model canvas with people, when it comes to what's your income, which is one section of the business model canvas, it's basically a visual tool for business planning. I talk about number one, having reliable income, and number two, having additional income with big opportunities, big returns. And as I say here, that could be in the sense of profit, profile, creative development. And now after I talk through these points, I then have several other points for us to consider as well. So the first one is on staying solvent, reliable income. How can we work on that in this current market? So one thing that I have talked about in the past has been how I know, say, some artists, and this could be galleries who project manage as well, will have maybe a steady trickle of commissions coming through. So they might not have a teaching job, they might have something that enables them to have essentially deposits being paid. They're working on multiple commissions all of the time. They could be private, they could be public, they could be who knows what. They're different types of commissions, different kind of situations where you might be creating something that is specific to a setting. Could be example, somebody who is doing murals in hospitals as well. I know an artist who does a lot of that. So that's something that I've seen a lot, is people doing custom commissions. But what about at this moment? How are people doing with reliable income? And is that something that maybe you need to shake up and to change? And for how long is that going to apply? So at the time of recording, it's early May 2020. We are over 100 days into this pandemic. I think 100 days we passed maybe about 10 days ago or so. And until there's a vaccine, we're going to be in a different world. So what I'm thinking about when it comes to reliable income for you and your creative enterprise, whether you're an artist or a gallery or whatever it is that you're doing, is I am thinking about a piece of income that you can either extend, something that you already did, that maybe you want to deliver in a different way, or it might be something new that you introduce that's complementary to your program, something that you would be happy running. I was initially saying until maybe a year from now, maybe mid 2021 or something like that. But when I think about how humans like to see consistency, and you're going to need time to adjust, and even when we're opening up, we're going to be in a recession for quite some time, and this is going to be a strange market for a while. So what I'm actually thinking that you do is you consider what you can, again, change or even expand upon or introduce that you could actually run to the end of 2021, at least, if not beyond. It might continue life, it might change as of 2022. And I know that sounds like a long time. We're thinking about keeping you solvent here, okay? And so what you can do is have something that works in your overall framework. So you're not changing your brand. You might want to do a brand refresh. I was actually speaking with a graphic designer earlier today about doing brand refreshes. And if anybody here wants to do one of those, just type a little comment and we can always introduce you to that amazing designer, because a lot of people are really wanting to up their game when it comes to how they're presented online to be known, liked, and trusted. I do think that's a good idea. So you're not changing your brand. You're not changing who you are, who that brand is. But what you're doing is you are within that umbrella, is you're saying, here's something that I can offer based on my skill set and based on what people know me to be doing. And this is going to be an expansion for people. And there is a lot of kind of mind-blowing learning and experience going on right now. It's just quite amazing. So people are really up for different types of experiences. So when we talk about reliable income, well, what might that be? That could still be something that you create yourself, or it could be that you are part of, of another community or another business doing something. And the kind of things that have been coming to my mind in the art world have been doing online classes, doing online one-to-one services that could be for creativity, could be for some kind of coaching or consulting, depending, and make certain that if you're doing these things that you really are capable of doing it. I just say that as a little caveat. I was giving a workshop, I'm not going to say exactly when, I'll say within the last year, when I had somebody come up to me saying, hey, I'm really keen to start mentoring people in the art world. This person was brand new to art. This person wanted to coach artists, that's right, and how to run business. This person was an intern at a gallery thinking that she could start suddenly offering services to artists. I was like, whoa. Okay, so what I did is I ran a gallery for all of these years. I was an art advisor. I had taken a business through the credit crunch and recession. I had done all of this stuff. And only after doing all of that stuff and running this business and running that business, did I actually think I was ready to actually get paid to advise people. So just, I say these things with a word of caution that make certain that you get the experience that you need. I'm not saying to not take a big leap, by all means do, but bear in mind you do have a brand to look after as well. And I was really glad, certainly in my case, that I waited until when I did. I was casually mentoring people for years because that's just the human that I am. When I was a retail manager, I didn't know I was doing it at the time. I was advising somebody kind of on her career. She was 4 years younger than me at the time. It seemed like she was ages younger than me, but that's because I was 22 or 23 or something. So if you're going to offer things, just make certain that it makes sense within your skill set as well. So it might be teaching, it could be doing some kind of advisory, coaching, consulting, something. It could be that you're recording some classes and people are paying for those. And one thing that I think is awesome, certainly for galleries to be thinking about, is setting up membership clubs. I mean, you could be talking about art once a month in some kind of art soiree situation where people bring along whatever beverage they want. Maybe you take them on a little tour, or you even show them, you can even curate an online tour of, here, I think this gallery is doing a great thing, or I think that this artist is doing a great thing. It'd be an advisor doing the gallery beat for the gallerist doing this. It would be showing artist studios. So there are different things that you can be coming up with. And one of the reasons that I'm coming up with ideas to do with, say, subscriptions and memberships and that kind of thing is we're looking at you getting some good, consistent income. So what can you do that is as much as possible going to be reliable in this market? What's something that works for you to do? Now, the second point of staying solvent that again relates to that childhood stuff. So the reliable income, that was like the leaf raking, more or less, like a commission. The second point was getting additional income with some big potential rewards. And that's like the Kool-Aid style. Now, this is where I talk about exhibitions most of the time, because with that, you make the piece, you have no idea if you're going to sell the piece or not. And it might be a gallery presenting the piece. But when you sell the piece, there can be big financial return. There can be big creative development that's resulted. It might be that the piece is being placed with a collection. So basically, the additional income is kind of, it's the cherry on top. So you are sustainable by the fact that you've got this good, consistent, reliable income, and then you've got this other activity, which is probably where you're going to be focused in the long term. And at the moment, that's the cherry on top, and where you're seeing your own individual creative development, and where when it works, you get a nice piece of pie. So those are the two things we think about when it comes to staying solvent, is sort of maintenance with that reliable income and the development of your future with that cherry on top stuff that you really love doing, but you're not relying on it for your income, because if you did, you'd be putting yourself at high risk. Now, do you need to be a risk taker to make a career in the art world? You absolutely do. And there is a gallerist who I swear who has not been successful in terms of financial success, who I am sure that that gallerist wasn't, because they just weren't able to take the risk. They could have afforded it when they needed to, and they didn't take the risk, and then they ended up not being successful in the end. So it does take some risk, but you need to be smart with it. So then we're getting to the final part of today's session, and that is when we talk about your revenue streams. What I really like to think about, again, this goes back to what I do with the business model canvas, is I really like to see that you have a combination of goods and services. And now, this is where I see if I actually managed to bring over the marker. And I did not. So check out my business card books right there behind me, because those babies are full of business cards. I staple them in and I love them. Whilst I get myself a marker, just my top right there. And we're going to look, where'd I put it here? At these two, because actually they have a relationship to each other. Pulling out the red pen or marker, and I'm going to say the services typically complement the goods, and the goods often feed into the development of services. And I'll give you an example of that. So a good is going to be, that's a product. That's something that's typically physical, although you might have an e-product like a digital work of art or some kind of course that you're selling or something. Actually, that'd be a service. So a good is something that's usually tangible, okay? And so that would be, let's take the example of a work of art. But then you might have clients saying, hey, I really like that piece, but actually my wall needs something that's much bigger, or maybe my apartment is actually tiny and I can't really manage something that size. Could you make something smaller? So that's the sense in which goods often result in a service, because that could be a custom commission. You've got this painting, you then, oh yes, absolutely, I can make something bespoke for you. Now, when you do a service, when you do a commission, you don't want to copy exactly that painting, because then you zap the creativity and you often end up frustrated and not doing something that you love. So I really recommend when you do custom commissions that you say, let's talk about what you love. Let's be inspired. Let's be inspired by your love and your interests. And I'm going to retain some artistic freedom, and I'm going to make something specifically for you, kind of vaguely based on this original piece, but totally, especially for you. And that means that you can actually retain your creative input and you're going to love it. And the piece is going to be better in the end. So you've got products, you've got the goods that you offer, then you've got the related services, and then services then relate to goods as well. And although you didn't see it, what I was doing is I was saying goods also relate to services as well over there. And the reason for that is because, or rather, pardon me, the other way around, services relate to goods. And the reason for that is, if we take the example of because you've introduced some good teaching work as being reliable income, what happens is that you establish the know, like, trust principle with your students who are learning from you. And as a result of that, because they've been experiencing your services, so services is going to be something that is often time-based. It's you using your brain to be able, and then you get paid for that. And even though you might be paid for the hour if you're doing consulting, it's actually the value that you're leaving behind and the impact that you're making that you're really getting paid for. So it's not really to do with time at all. It's actually because that person has done 20 years in that field and can bring all of those years experience to you. When you do those services and people experience the awesomeness of you and they want to support you, and they can see more and more and more in what it is that you do, and they're understanding who you are, they're understanding the stories behind your pieces, they suddenly, because stories, and so I know that Anna, our digital marketing maven, was talking all about today's session about the importance of stories and works of art. When people understand that story and they're buying into you as the person behind these, say, works of art, and this can apply to gallerists or consultants too, who are showing all of their expertise and their knowledge, then collectors of the galleries, clients of the artists, then they go, hey, you had some works of art available. I'd really love to see those. Or aren't you doing part of that, what's it called, artist support pledge thing? And you can say, awesome, yeah, how about I send you a link on that? And so as a result of, or send you to my shop or something like that. So as a result of doing the services, you then have people buying your goods as well. And so this ends up being a truly happy scenario, and that goods and services are feeding each other. And this is actually the first time I've done those little arrows, and I think it works really well because it does continually go around and around and around. So rather than having just services or just goods, it is excellent to have a combination of the two. And what are some other examples? Well, actually, this is a good, which you might also call a product. So having books, having calendars that you make. People are still wanting to mark special occasions for, say, birthdays. I know that my husband Chris's birthday is in just under a month's time, and so I've been looking at something special I can get for him during this time. So still being able to offer special gifts, which would be goods to be able to buy for their loved ones during this whole lockdown period, is really, really special. So there are still opportunities out there. It's up to you to come up what works with, as I was talking before, within your overall framework, the overall parameter of who you are. And by defining and understanding your own values, by understanding what it is that makes you you and what makes your brand, and understanding what goes within that and how to make sense of the different things that you do, it all comes together, it's all cohesive, and you can make sense of having reliable income, of having the cherry on top with the other things that you do, which is actually your future. And then all the while, with those two on one side, you've then got a combination of goods and services that you are offering that are feeding into one another. And suddenly you find that it is summer 2021. You have got these dedicated clients. The world is beginning to open up, although it's different than it was in 2019, 2 years before that. And you're able to bring those people with you as you start to change what you're offering as well, and thinking therefore about what you can create that will stand the test of time. What is something that you would be happy still doing in a year's time? What is something that you can offer that you'll be happy offering as part of you, that also will enable you to build upon it? It might even be that you do things like you say, hey, the normal price of this is going to be, I don't know, $50, whatever it is that we're talking about, and $50 monthly membership for a club or something. And throughout the pandemic, and you can define that in whatever terms you want to, it could be based on where you're based, for example, we are going to offer special discounts. People value it at a higher amount. You're enabling yourself to get to offer people something special to support them and their needs this time. And so you let people in for, I don't know, $25 a month or something. And then you can make an assessment based on what's happening. And I think that's one of the really important things, is that we give ourselves flexibility right now, and we enable ourselves to support the needs, the challenges, and add value for what our own audiences are seeking and what they're requiring right now, and to bring them some beauty and some inspiration and some creativity in their lives as well. People are really seeking that, and they're very happy to support small creative businesses, which is you. That's exactly what I'm describing. People really want to support you. So what can you do to help get them on board right now, knowing that they are wanting to support you, and so having an offering that makes sense, listen to what they have to say as well. And then when you have achieved that and you get down the road, and maybe there's been a relaxation, and then there's a further restriction, and then there's another relaxation, and all that kind of thing, and then there's a vaccine, but the vaccine is only getting to part of the world, and can you travel, and is that exhibition actually going to happen? And oh my gosh, now that event that was going to take place in 2020 is actually happening in 4 weeks time. So you give yourself the ability to carry on a consistent program, keeping that income, keeping within that framework of who you are, and then expanding and developing upon it in the months and even years to come. So that's my thinking for you and how you approach that. And that was all based on a story from when I was a kid. Now, how old was I? I guess when I was doing the Kool-Aid stand, I was probably between about 10 and 13 years old. And when I was doing the leaf raking, it would have been probably a year or two after Cocktail. And I'm not sure when that was. So maybe about 1990 or so. Maybe I was about 13, 14 years old to have the confidence to go out and rake leaves, probably. And if you are interested, for anybody out there who doesn't yet have the book, go check out patreon.com, or actually even look at besmartaboutart.com, and you'll see the book. You can buy Art as Your Life, Make It Your Living directly from ourselves, and we will send it to you quite happily. So everyone, that brings us to a wrap today for the Be Smart About Art show. That was really good fun. And I am looking forward to telling you my own stories in the future, to bringing on some special guests who can tell their stories as well. And we're all going through this together. Now, I welcome you to join the Be Smart About Art community. Go and check out patreon.com/Be Smart. About Art. You can join there at $7.50 a month with a motto of participating, connecting, and growing. And this Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock in the UK, we are having our first BSAA members gathering. And that's going to be an open chinwag where we're going to welcome people to bring some object close to them that holds a meaning. This was actually the original storytelling session object, so I'm not going to reuse that, but I could bring that object to this Friday's conversation. So go become a member so you can take part in that weekly conversation and come to get to know your community. And if that isn't an option for you at the moment, keep enjoying the show, which is freely available for all. Thank you so much for tuning in. All the best in the weeks, months, and hey, years to come. And as ever, I mean, something I haven't said for a while is that creativity is at the foundation of your business. So remember that and be nice to yourself, be gentle to yourself at this time. All the best, signing out from Lewis in East Sussex, and I look forward to seeing you again on shows and in the members community soon. Ciao for now.